All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Scrambling Dads podcast. Today we're diving into something deeper than your swing path. We're talking about mental health, therapy, and why sometimes a solo round of golf feels less like sport and a little more like survival. I've run the gamut when it comes to golf. There was a stretch there where it wasn't just a hobby; it was an escape. The course was the one place I felt in control, and yeah, it became 4 hours of drinking and tuning out the outside world. But like anything, when does that kind of escape cross the line into something unhealthy? We're not here to shame anyone or preach some holier than thou perspective, but as I've grown, my interpretation of weekend golf has evolved. It's golf for me time, a coping mechanism, or just a convenient excuse to dodge dad duties. At what happens when Saturdays are for the boys starts to feel a little outdated. Today, we're going to dive into how we manage our mental health, try our best to be vulnerable. Early on the first episode, I said I wanted to use this platform to be vulnerable, and hopefully someone can learn from me, learn the hard lessons that I had to learn. So let's unpack the good, the bad, and the barefoot putting sessions that keep us sane. Jason, let's start with a question for you. If you
Mhm.
couldn't golf for a month, couldn't touch your clubs for a month, what would that be like for you mentally?
At this point, it would definitely be rough. But there was times where I know my path was where golf was definitely taking a back seat. So years ago, it was just something where it was like not a big deal. But now, for sure, if I couldn't golf for a month, once out of it, it drives me kind of crazy. All right, so like I want to get out, I want to practice because I do have some personal goals that I'm trying to achieve. But then on the other side of it, I start to figure out it's like because golf is not my true escape every time or all the time, and so I think trying to keep the endorphins going, the physical rush going is I get to the gym at well lately it's only been like 2 maybe 3 days a week, even if it's just for cardio stretching, because that is the only way I think I could find a physical escape, which helps releases some of the tension that you internalize throughout the week, throughout the day, or whatever it might be. So that would be my one source or outlet to kind of help skew not being able to get out on the course.
Yeah, and I mean, with that, whether it's working out or course or range time, do you feel that when you're not in a good headspace, do you feel like it's a release to where you can kind of maybe get in a good headspace, or do you feel like that being in a bad headspace impacts your workout or the range time or your golf round?
It's both. If it's work related, it's a pretty good release. Just the gym, anyways, because it's just I know I'm there consistently, and it's there daily. So there's ways to cope in my mind as far as well. Okay, take a deep breath, start planning things out one way. Just kind of get myself organized in my head, and then having a more suitable plan. Right. So that's one part of it. The other part where it's get into where it actually makes it worse or it doesn't really help is when I get into some personal like
Mhm.
trauma in my head. And sometimes it makes it worse because, I want to get out to the range and try to escape, but my mind is still spinning on so many different things. It's just not there. It's like you want it to be there, but it's not there. So, I mean, the biggest example was, gosh, probably a year and a half ago. When whew, when I lost my son, it was tough. And you were there for me, and we went out, played probably one of the toughest courses in the area because it's like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I just want to get out, just want to escape. And, hit good shots randomly here and there, but mentally my head was still was spinning with everything because it was only a few months after, but I was just like, I just need to get away. And it was still tough to even try to enjoy that round. But, you know, hopefully in the next couple of months try to tune up my game. I want to go back to that course and try to get my revenge. But yeah, that was one tough example of no matter what I did, it actually made it worse because then I felt like I'm not at home. Like I'm not with Shelby or with Miles. And just it was a tough situation.
Yeah, that I remember that round pretty vividly, and you know, I go back to when I lost my dad and how that felt for me, and all I wanted to do was to be there for you. And we didn't talk about a single thing. We didn't talk about any of the trauma. We didn't talk about what you were feeling.
Hmm.
It was just a round in which I think all I was trying to do was help be there for you. And even if that meant sitting in a car with very little words and just kind of getting out and being supportive. And, that's something that I try to do for people because I didn't have that as much when my dad passed. So I'm glad that I could be there for you. I'm glad that you brought that up and appreciate it. And probably should warn people this is going to be a little bit of a heavier
Yeah,
episode.
this
I mean, I
is
think
this a
or we're
tough
gonna
one.
have both of us tearing up a little bit, but it's tough, and that's a great perspective. It's hard to play those rounds when you have something on your head.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like we're not pros, we're not amateur, we're amateurs, and it's funny how we dog all these pros who are playing bad or going and doing stuff, and you don't know what's going on. Like you just maybe there is a lot of things they're just doing their job, whereas we're just doing it to get out. But everybody deals with something, and it weighs on you, and you don't want it to be always in public view.
Well, and it's funny how a sport can tell you a lot about what's going on in your head. We don't realize it, but you notice when your mental health is off in some of those rounds, good or bad. You can be on
Mhm.
a high and shoot your best round. You could be on a low and you just shoot a terrible round, and it's always indicative of where you are in life, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, to that point, Friday, I got out, got my last California hurrah, and I mean, I went in feeling confident, feeling great. First couple holes was like, okay, like this is doable. It's a tough track, but I had a different plan in mind, managing it differently. And then after like four holes, wheels came off, just nothing worked. And I got home and Joey was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, I was mute. Like I was so frustrated. Like, because it's a course I've played before. I felt like I could have done better. And it was just, I was quiet for a while.
Yeah, and I think that's where it shows up the most for me is I'm pretty good about turning off a bad round when I come home. There's certainly times I'm more impacted by a bad range session because that's where I'm really trying to work on stuff. But a bad round for me doesn't do it. But what I see in my bad round is short of patience. Like if I'm in
Mm.
a bad place mentally, my patience on the course is zero. I'm not able to just brush off the bad because golf is where, I am a good golfer and I can generally control and I can generally fix things. And when I can't fix it there, for me, it's like almost a portrayal of my life. Something's going wrong or something. I'm struggling with something and I can't control the situation personally. So it goes to my golf game and now I can't control that either and my patience is zero and I'm getting frustrated. So it's tough to keep that patience and actually block out. We're going to golf for me time and to reset, but when it bleeds
Mhm.
into the me time, it's tough.
Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, I was quiet, but I still interacted with everybody. But it definitely, she knew like there was just my headspace wasn't there because it was one of those breaking rounds, which just I think it was just at the end of a long trip. My body was still recovering, and I think I put too much pressure, internal pressure, expectation, knowing like, oh, it's a favorite course of mine. I've played it half a dozen times, and the wheels just came off so quick. It wasn't like a back nine, front nine. It was like two-thirds in, like or not even a
Yeah.
third in. It just stuff just started. Nothing was working.
Yeah, absolutely. After you talk about your son, did you ever do any therapy after that?
So that's the tough one. I mean, you're never going to get over any loss. I mean, that's just true. I've done my own mental check therapy, but I've never done anything professionally. What's helped is slowly talk about it here and there a little bit. As we progress through the holidays or significant dates, the sting is a little less. But what I've done is I've only wrote two, but I would like to do it more. And part of it's just me not ready is write letters to him. First one was really rough. Second one wasn't as bad because I don't know, in my own head, I started to internalize like what he would be like and what things are going on and the excitement and stuff that was happening or that excitement that is happening currently.
Oh, they say the first year is the hardest because it's the first year of
Mhm.
first or last, right? It's um, it would have been their first Christmas,
Mhm.
their first birthday, and it's hard. And I've Yeah, I lost a dad tragically, and we'll talk through some of that, but I haven't lost a kid, and I have three. So I can't say I know how you feel, but I can sympathize and empathize with how you
Hmm.
feel, because I couldn't imagine if I lost one of mine. And I know it's 10 times the first that I had to go through without having my dad.
Hmm.
So
And then, yeah.
it's tough. It's hard. And I didn't go through therapy until, shoot, my dad passed in 2019, and I don't think I went to therapy until 2021. So I'm in 12 years. No, sorry, 2009, not 2019. 2009 to 2021. So 12 years I didn't do therapy, and I pushed it down. I pushed it all down. My mom was amazing, and she's always been there for me. Very close to her. I'm the youngest of three, and I was only 19. My sisters were out and had jobs, and they well, I guess one of them was married, so she had someone to lean on because he had lost his father too. So he was a great support for her. My other sister moved back up from San Antonio to up here to be with the family, and that was great. So my mom had a support system, and that was awesome. And I tried to be there for her, even though I was remote and in school up in the Midwest. But I never wanted to burden my mom with my issues and with how I was coping with it. And what that created was just what I'm still like to say I'm good at. I'm good at compartmentalizing today for that. So I guess that's a benefit. But it's also bad if you don't learn to talk about it at some point. And man, I hit rock bottom in October of 2020. My best friend from college was in my wedding and everything. He died. They say because of COVID. They wouldn't do an autopsy because if they test positive for COVID, then they just assume it's COVID. It could have been something else, but he just didn't respond to anyone for days. So they did a wellness check and found him in his apartment, and that one hit me pretty hard. And we went up for the funeral, and it was a really bad 3 days for me. And Casey was there for me, but she was the whipping post. And it was after that trip that she said, "You need to go see someone," and that was tough.
Hmm.
It was tough hearing it from your wife that you need to go talk to someone. So did that, talked to someone, and they recommended EMDR, which is a type of therapy. And I was like, well, why am I doing that? So I get talking to this guy, and Casey and my mom are the only two people that have heard what I saw with my dad. So this is new to everyone and a fun platform to share that on, I guess. But my dad was in a car accident, got thrown out of the car, and I'm sure, like you, right? You remember traumatic events vividly.
Hmm.
This happened 2009, so I mean we're 14 years now, and I remember a 48-hour period like it was yesterday. Um, got a call from my mom at 4:30 in the morning. Hey, you need to get on an airplane and come home. Dad's been in a car accident. And mind you, that same day, they were actually supposed to be getting on a plane to come fly to Purdue to come see me. And I was like, okay. So, anyways, I drive to Indianapolis. I fly home. I remember getting picked up from the airport, and my brother-in-law's hauling butt down the highway, going 100 to get down to the Waco area where my dad had the car accident. I was in the ICU. We make it through, that night. We all sleep in the hospital. The next morning we go in and see him, and I was the last one to go in and see him. I can't remember if my sisters went in before or if they were going to go in after me, but all I remember was I was walking down the hallway, coming back to the waiting area, and I heard the alarms go off, and it's a code blue, and see all these nurses run, and I just had a feeling in my gut. So I go back, and you see these nurses trying to revive my dad. There are 10 of them around that bed, and it took 4 nurses to pull me away from that room. I didn't want to leave. Thought I could help him. So it was tough. It was really tough. And 12 years later, whatever it is, you realize you have PTS from that.
Hmm.
I didn't think I did. I didn't know I did. So I went through the whole EMDR process to really reprocess that trauma. You think PTS, you're like, oh, I wasn't in war. I didn't see this. I didn't see that. Totally different. But 19-year-old son seeing his superhero, just to not come back, it's hard. So I created terrible coping mechanisms because I didn't want to burden my mom with that, right? I didn't want to burden her with what I saw. Everyone else was in the waiting room. All I know is I got pulled and put in one of the counseling rooms where the doctor could come tell us that he passed. So what that created for me was a lot of control issues and a lot of poor coping mechanisms. a lot of abandonment issues. So when my friend died in October of 2020, that abandonment just hit again, and I spiraled. And thanks to my wife, I went through the therapy, and it helped a lot. And I think a lot of people need to go to therapy, regardless of what you've seen in life.
Mhm. No, that's for sure. I know one of our family members, I don't remember who, asked Shelby, have you gone or somebody? And I think internally, I remember her saying that she's still not ready. Like she still feels angry. Like there are things that she's learned to accept back again because there were some components that definitely she was very angry at, and I'm not sure we're going to get down that path because it is something I think we probably do need to do as a couple since it's what was involved. But, you know, I'm not sure what she's doing internally, individually. I know the letters have helped, and kind of like you, I compartmentalize things, and I don't want what I'm feeling or my burdens to weigh on anybody else, or it's my problem, not yours. Don't worry about it. And sometimes I know I can get angry, get short with everything, and so it weighs on them a little bit. But or I don't know if it's a male thing or it's a dad thing, but it's like, we can't show our invulnerability to our family because in some regard, I think, I don't know, physiologically, it's like it makes you look weak. As I get older, it's like it actually makes you stronger because you just have to get through that threshold of accepting it. It's like, hey, I need help and I can't do this by myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 points there. I think the adage is definitely a more of a male thing. The man is struggling between not working enough and succeeding in their career, not being home enough for their family. We're battling bringing home money, but also being present dads. I think 40 years ago that was probably correct because there are definitely more stay-at-home moms. I think today's day and age, it's turned into just a parent issue because we do need dual income houses in today's economy.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it's just a parent issue of how do you be a present parent when you're trying to make money and you're battling the feeling of, oh, we're not traveling enough, we're not doing this, oh, but we're trying to save money, oh, I'm not present, my kid's not doing enough, oh, now my kid can only play one sport instead of two because sports cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time. I played 4 sports growing up, and my sons only play one because it's 2 practices a week and 2 games a week, and it's just the time commitment. And so I think you're 100% correct. And then you do throw on just the biological differences between male and female, and males generally like to be a little more of the protector and the provider, and moms are nurturing and amazing with kids, and they're the ground space for the kids and honestly the husband for a lot of it. So you throw that in too, and men compartmentalize and they don't want to show vulnerability. And I think the second point to what you said was, you don't want to burden anyone with yours, but it actually makes you stronger. They talk about, what was it, the 300, the Greek army or whatever army that was. The strength
Mhm.
wasn't in the individual; it was in the shield wall. That's a team. It's everyone together. It's the same with family, man. I have found the more you open up, um, the more your family can help support you and grow you up and protect you as well. I mean, there were times I was kind of in between jobs, and Casey kind of played that first round of defense. She would talk to people and they would want to ask me, oh, how's Alex doing? And Casey, she would kind of field those questions. And because she knew that it would bother me if people were asking me what was going on with my job. And she kind of protected me from that standpoint. It's someone that has your six, and, you get stronger to exactly what you just said. The family makes you stronger when you are vulnerable and open. And I just think a lot of parents, we're talking about dads specifically, we're the scrambling dads, a lot of dads struggle with being vulnerable, even to their kids.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a lot to unpack, and we're definitely by no means professional therapists. We're just going through our emotions and trying to figure out ourselves.
Yeah. And, we move into about going into ourselves and coping mechanisms, and that's where golf. I put on my outline for this podcast was me time versus drinking, and I'm gonna say come 2017, I was going through some personal issues. 2016, 2017. And I'm by no means an alcoholic. I'm very lucky to not have an addictive personality. You know, I can
Hmm.
pick up something and drop it pretty easily. But there was definitely a period there that alcohol was my coping mechanism. I mean, I would get a handle of Tito's and go through it in a few days. And it was tough. But then you take that to the course, and the course was about getting away and drinking. It was about shutting out the outside world and not thinking about a single thing other than that. So I think there's a time and place when you talk about a drinking round versus a me time, but that's just what it became for me. That's what golf became. What it
Hmm.
became an outlet and an escape, and I can just tune out the outside world.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's part of why I enjoy playing golf as well, is just because it does give me the escape. And then it's like, I love it if Shelby came and the girls came. I would invite them, but I don't force them to come. But it's one of those things where I do like to get out and just use it as my time to enjoy just nature, call it that. Is where I usually feel it the most, though. Um,
Mhm.
because you have more time to dwell on just machine gunning like balls and just sitting there. Like sometimes stuff just dwells on you a little bit. I think what helps for me when I go also play rounds. Luckily for me, I'm not a big person on having alcohol. Like I'll have drinks here and there, but I just, part of me is I never liked the taste, especially with the beers. Then you got into some blended stuff, but that's a different story. I matured, palate increased, but sometimes it's just having a conversation with even the guys who you're playing with. Like one of the things, it's like I noticed even this last round, it's like I was the first one to ask him, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?" Like it helps break the ice, makes the tension a little bit easier, and then you just kind of get to talk through things, and then that kind of distracts you, and now your mind's on the game and on your the present company.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I'd like to say again, you compartmentalize. I put my friends in certain buckets, right? Like I have guys that if I want to play competitive, I'm gonna text these guys. Like I'm prepping, I want to test my round. I also know that they probably want to put money on it. So there's times I don't want to spend money. Okay, I'm not going to text them. Then you have hey, these are just a good time type guys. We know we're going to vibe. Whether I shoot 70 or 100, I'm gonna have a good time. It's gonna be music, maybe some light drinking. Cool, whatever. There's a time and place for those rounds. And then there's exactly what you talked about at the very beginning of the show when you and I played golf after your son. And I have, and those friends are probably three, right? It's you, my best friend lives in Fort Worth, and maybe one other that when I am going through something and I just want to get away type round, and I know they're not going to ask me much because they know how to read me or they already know what's going on. And this is truly just about getting away and the escapism part of golf. I have that group. And you start to play okay, what type of round is this? What do I want out of the round? And people like you kind of blend into multiple of those groups. I can play with you if I want to have a good vibe. I can play with you if I'm down in life. And it's important to have that, and it's important to decide, what is the use for this round today. And one thing is, how do you communicate that to your partner? To Shelby or for me, Casey. How do you communicate with her that it's not just you going out and playing around to get away for 5 hours? How do you communicate that you need the round for a mental reason?
Yeah, luckily for me at this point, I think for us it's it's becoming like an understood kind of escape. 'Cause I know like when we do these annual trips, she knows I go play. Um,
Uh,
but when we're back at home, it's one of those things where, I just give her a heads up, like, hey, somebody wants to go out and, look at the calendars and then make sure everything is good, that on her end she's got nothing going on. So that part of it's been pretty good as far as just making sure I can get out and go play golf. But I also then like, okay, if I'm going to be gone and I know she's going to have the baby or toddler, he's not really a baby anymore, for 4 or 5, probably not 4, not 5 or 6 hours. Yes, nothing's 4 hours anymore with golf. Um, I Not that I don't step up and do my role, but I'll make sure I'll do a little bit extra stuff just so she has an extra window of getting things that she wants to get done, whether it's shopping, doing a little extra work, or just her time. And so we kind of try to find that balance. But I know for her, in a drop of a hat, if you text me and said, "Hey man, I need to get out, just throw a few back and just get a release," she would not even question it.
Yeah, and I think Casey's the same. We even talked about last night. We had some friends over last night, and we were talking about a drinking round, and I kind of made a comment. I was like, I mean, it's probably twice a year that I just have a true go out, have a few drinks. I'm gonna come home and be useless type rounds, and even Casey was like, I challenge that. I don't even think it's two. It might be one a year, it might be one every other year. Like you're not, yeah, 5 years ago maybe, but now, I mean, I'm like you. I might have four drinks a week. Like I'm not a big drinker. Just like you don't like the taste, I'll have a wine with something. If I'm having steak or something like that. But I mean, I have a whole slew of tequilas and bourbons right here that I maybe touch twice a month. So I'm just not a big drinker anymore. So she was like, no, you barely ever go out and drink now. So
Yeah.
there's certainly those rounds. And one thing I wanted to point on the communication, I think it's funny and it's hard to read on TikTok or Instagram, how much is satire versus how much is, truth and jest. And you see a lot of those. A guy's never as fast getting his honeydew list done as when he wants to play golf. And for me, it's like, are we doing chores to create goodwill or brownie points so that we can go play golf? Or are you doing it because it's what you should be doing, right?
Mm.
You should be helping out around the house. Like my wife never gives me a hard time about wanting to go play golf because we have, I'm gonna say, the household chores. We have them divvied up. Like, I do most of the cooking, but she buys all the groceries. She does laundry once a week, but I do most of the cleaning, and at least in the common areas, the living room, the kitchen, which is more of a nightly thing. I don't mind doing something every day, whereas she would prefer to have a chore that is once a week, one time, and then the other night she can relax. And that's how we kind of have it set up. But like, I don't ever feel like, oh, I need to go do this so that she sees me doing it so that I can turn around and ask her to go play golf.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not us. And again, part of it's from just growing up and just realizing like, oh, those are just those are our responsibilities. Like I cut the lawn. Like outside
Uh-huh.
yard work is just it's my duty. I do it. She doesn't like to do it. She wants to look pretty. She'll complain about it, but it's like, well, you could get a shovel and put some plants in. And then yeah, I do most of the I would say like the most of the common area cleanings. Like I just well, we cheat. I mean, we got one of those robot vacuums to kind of get most of it up,
Yeah.
but I still I don't mind clutter as like if it's somewhat organized, like there's some bills or just some little things just as long as it's there. But the one thing that gets me is just the grime that from all the cooking and stuff that sits on the
Uh-huh.
counter. Like I do that nightly clean, make sure that's all cleaned up. Yeah, I mean, we kind of split it up. She does the weekly shopping. That's kind of her thing. And then I pretty much take care of the grunt around the house,
Yeah.
the garbage and all that other crap.
Well, yeah. And you said a great word there, responsibility. It's our responsibilities. And you can even put that to kids, right? If we go golf, who's watching the kids? So, like, I think it's important. Like, most guys, they want the hobby. And it's not that they don't want their wife to have a hobby. I think most guys want their wife to have a hobby. They want to support them. But how good are we about you know, pushing our wives out of the house to go do that hobby? Because I will say, inherently, women are a lot more nurturing and it's harder to get them out of the house. Casey will say she wants to go do this and she'll love it when she goes and plays pickleball with a friend, or she'll go get her nails done, or she'll go have dinner and
Mhm.
drinks. But it's like pulling teeth to get her out of the house because it's just it doesn't come first nature to her. She wants to be home with the kids and have that family time, but she knows she needs me time too. So there'll be times that I have to be like, no, go. Like pretty recently, actually. Like I know she was having a rough time, and I texted one of our friends that live right down the street. And I said, hey, can you go take Casey to go have drinks and dinner tonight, please? Like she needs it. She needs to get away from the house. She's been handling a lot lately. I got a new job, and it's been all on her with the
Mhm.
kids. She needs time away, and she did, and she loved it. But what are we doing as husbands to support our wives having hobbies, or also helping safeguard their mental health? Because the majority, at least I'm going to talk about our two wives will do anything for us. That's pretty evident. So how do we support them and going and doing what they need to be doing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I I know she's talked about it recently. She wants to go get her hair done because it's been since pre-pregnancy she had her hair done and all that. I'm like, go. I'm just waiting for her to schedule it. I'm like, go do it. I mean, I would schedule it for you, but I don't know what routine you want. And the nails, she'll go out and get her nails done every once in a while, but the massage, I think she has like a gift massage that someone gave her that she sat on for like almost a year now. And yeah, you're right. It's like you have these things or these opportunities, but just go. Like, let me know. I mean, I know I'll give you a heads up if I'm gonna go play around. As far as a
Uh-huh.
range, I'll wait. Like, I will sit and
Yeah.
wait and do a range session just so you can go out and take care of your stuff. Just go. Just let me know.
Yeah,
Like,
just
hey,
go get out.
yeah, just tell me. I mean, I haven't gotten to the point of kicking her out of the house to go do it, but I might need to.
Yeah, I mean, we generally do. And, it's important for us as well when we're playing those golf rounds. And we do know that, Casey and I kind of have, I must say, an agreement. Once a month, I can have one of those more of a 6, 8 hour type rounds where I'm going to go play. I'm going to maybe stay and talk and have a drink or two after the round. It's going to be leisure. I'm going to go warm up. But then most of my other rounds, 2/3 of my rounds, I'm going to say are I might get a 30-minute warm up in, maybe 15 minutes. I'm going to play. I'm going to go home immediately. And I'm home in the 4 to 5 hour mark instead with drive time. So I try to make sure I play
Mm.
closer courses. And I know so many guys that abuse that, man. It's like, oh, well, she's already mad at me. So I'm going to stay for an extra 9 holes. I'm going to play 36 today. And again, we're not trying to shame anyone. Look, there are time and places, and it's all about communication. For me, it was when that was said to me a few weeks ago, that exact comment of, oh, she's already mad at me, so I might as well. I didn't like that because I was like, that's not okay. It's about communication. If I am going to do that, I'm going to tell Casey, hey, I have a blow off day. Like I need a round. I'm going to go play 18, maybe 27 holes. Might have some drinks, but it's all about communication. It's not the fact that people are doing that. It's the statement of, well, she's already mad, so I might as well.
Yeah.
Like that's not okay. Like respect your wife, respect her feelings, respect that she's at home watching your kids. And it's one thing if you didn't communicate before the round and you text her at hole, 18 and say, hey, I'm just not in a good headspace. Do you mind if I? And we're not asking for permission. We're asking out of respect. And it's all about communication. And people just don't communicate.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, luckily, I mean, the last couple of rounds outside of Shelby I've been paired with are most of them are retired guys, so it's not as critical. But yeah, there's times where you're sitting there just you hear the comments. It's like, I love getting out and love to get to play, but you throw on the warm up or the drive time, your warm up that's let's say an average an hour before your round. Then you play 4.5 to 5 hour round. Then maybe 30 minutes to drive back, depending on where you play. That's a whole day. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a long time to have them sit there and take care of your kids and not be able to communicate. I mean, most of the time, it's like as soon as I finish around, I'm like, I'm gone. Like I don't do the
Mm-hmm.
after the round drinks or hanging out. It's just yeah, because part of me wants to get home. Like I want to see the family.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it, for me, it wasn't a linear path to get here. Like I was that guy at some point. There were times when we were members actually, and I played some of the men's golf association stuff. You play your round, and it's already a long round. And then there's always just like a few guys are like, oh, let's go play the emergency nine, right? So then you go play another nine, and then you're not getting home till 3 hours later. And there were multiple times that I did that. And, I learned that lesson the hard way of respecting your wife and just having good communication about what you want to do. And it's not about not playing the emergency nine. It's about texting or calling and reading in. Because again, our wives are going to do it. And Casey 9 times out of 10 will say, yeah, go ahead. But I know what she really wants. I can usually tell in her tone or how she steps things back.
See it right there.
Yeah, you can see it. And it's like, okay, I need to make a decision. It's like when I played league night a few weeks ago and I told you I didn't get home till late. We finished our actual league night, I must say around 9:30. I should have left then, and the kids were asleep, so it wasn't that. But I know Casey wanted to watch some shows that we were watching, and it had been long weeks for us, and I think she wanted just us time as well. And she thought I was going to be home by, 9:30, 10, to where we would still be able to do some stuff together. And I took that away from her because I just wanted to stay and play more golf. And that wasn't fair to her. I should have read into the text better. So again, this isn't about preaching some holier than thou. It's not saying we're perfect, but I've certainly learned some lessons that I'd like people to learn from me. Don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I've also just got a point where I'm just like, you know what? I'll just wait. She wants me to reach my golfing goals, but at the same time, I'm like, I will sacrifice. Like
Yeah.
if the one of the things I'm going to sacrifice first, just to make sure she's good and the family's good or the baby's good or toddler's good, is just I'll sit back on the golf, and that's part of me also. Again, when we talked about the whole mental side of it, it's like I want to get better at the game, but then it's just like there's a point of acceptance until you can find a window to make strides. And right now, it's like I know I've got a lot more things I want to work on with golf, but at the same time, that's moved down the list a little bit as far as prioritizing
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. What are some lessons we can learn? And what you just said is, to me, routine brings stability, discipline creates freedom. If we have good routines, we create more of a stable life to where then we can go play golf more because it just becomes the norm, and your wife's getting time, you're getting time, the kids are doing this. But then also just being disciplined, and it's kind of with golf too, but being disciplined in our life creates that freedom as well. It creates, oh, I don't have a bunch of house chores to go do, so I can go play golf because we're cleaning nightly instead of once on a weekend. I try to tell it to my kids all the time. The upstairs is constantly a wreck. And they spend half their weekend cleaning. And I'm like, guys, if you would just be disciplined in cleaning, straightening up, you get one thing out, put it away, then you would have a lot more freedom and to do what you want to do, because it takes 30 seconds to clean versus 3 hours to clean because it's just gotten so bad. And people don't realize that. I mean, it's like, you know, have a routine and be disciplined in it. Two very simple things.
Yep.
One thing, another lesson that I thought, and it kind of, I'm gonna say off topic, but we're talking about two dads that have been through it, in different events of life. I think we've learned that life humbles us. Golf humbles us, right? It's the same thing. And there was this, as I was typing this up and when I want to talk through, there was one instance that I wanted to show exactly how golf humbles and lead that into how life humbles us is, Tripp plays the PJ Junior League, right? And we talked early on in the podcast how he had one of his best rounds. And that was during one of these PJ Junior Leagues. He got on a par five and absolutely hammered a drive. Best drive he's ever hit, probably carried 150-ish, which is on the light end for his age. But the ball rolled. I mean, it was probably by the end of it over a 200-yard drive for at the time a 9-year-old. And he turns around and does like this Adolis Garcia type through his tee, right? His version of a bat flip. And I'm obviously caddying for him, and I looked at him. I said, "Don't you even think about doing that." And again, I've played competitive golf, so I've been there. I've done similar stuff, and you get that little pep in your step, bouncing around like Roy McIlroy down the fairway. And as we're walking down, I'm trying to tell him, dude, you need to calm it down. Like, that was a great drive, but you need to reset and focus on the next shot. Golf will humble you. You need to focus. His second shot was good. He's down to a pitching wedge, which is his favorite club. And he's like, "Nah, Dad, I got a pitching wedge in my hand. Like, I'm going to win this hole." It's match play. He's like, I'm going to win this hole. It's easy. Like, I got my pitching wedge in my hand. Duffs the chip. Finally gets on the green. 3 putts. And the other kid didn't hit the green until shot 4 and 2 putted. Tripp got a double or triple, and the other kid got a bogey and won the hole. And Tripp was 100 yards up on the drive because the other kid duck hooked one. And we get fast forward to a hole later. Does the same thing. It's a good drive. Terrible wet shot. Ends up with bogey. Kid won that hole. Tripp was up, I think, 2 holes at the time. Now they're even. We're all square going into last 2 holes, and he ended up losing the match. And I sat him down after. I go, "Yeah, what'd you learn?" He's like, "Golf will humble you." I said, "Exactly. I told you it would, and you got cocky because you had a couple good shots. And golf will humble you. Life will humble us. We will have a month of good and then a month of bad, because in your head you're like, oh no, everything's all good. Same with finance, same with everything, right? And that's a lesson that I think a lot of us need to learn, is you need to stay grounded and stay humble.
I mean, yeah, experience, and it's like I know where I stand, but then it's like you also feel confident, and it's kind of like, gosh, this thing just speeds you up, and you know, it is a tough game. Like, and then everything is not going to be flat and smooth. Like, there's just no
Uh,
way about it. I mean, every course I played out here, except for one, I think every fairway had a module or a mogul or something. It wasn't smooth sailing. And so, still trying to work on simple mechanics and things like that for me, again, like feeling good, but then mentally it's like it's beating me up inside. And so, trying to not let that escape during a round is very challenging. And there's times where it sometimes does escape. You know, you get the F bomb or something, or what, I'm done. Person comes by, and then you're just like, give me a double. You know, it's just there's ways of doing things properly and other ways of just learning to control that. And it's a fine line because I feel like, like you said, Trip's got a favorite club. It's like, oh, I feel confident I always have that favorite club. And then boom, it just your head, do you do something? And then now you're questioning everything. And then this, like, for some reason, I've struggled with my 9 iron. I don't know why. And it's like, I know I need it for this shot. Like, I just don't have, like, the 8. I don't know if I can make it work with the smooth swing, and then the pitch is not enough, but I still have to grind, even though it's like I hate the club. Like, I just mentally grab it and I'm just like, right there, I've already lost. And that's part of the challenge of just, that's a simple example of golf and mentally controlling your headspace. But, you know, amplify that to everything else we've just talked about. I mean, just can't imagine what goes through people's minds.
Yeah, and I think it goes well into kind of the last lesson that I had written down was, play it as it lies, play it not as you're thinking about the shot you have, not the one you wish you had. So to your exact point, it's I can lay up to what I want as an 8 iron, but say it goes 15 extra yards and now it's a 9 iron. And in your head, I'm like, oh, I wanted the 8 iron. And you're stuck thinking about what shot you wanted versus the shot you have. And, in life and in golf, we have to learn to just deal with what's thrown at us. And people like ourselves that have been through trauma in some way, shape, or form can handle some of that a little bit better because we understand that it's not up to us and life's going to happen and things are going to change. It's the old adage, your worst day is your worst day. Someone that hasn't had a traumatic event doesn't know how to handle it as well. Um, so it's the same, we talk about this golf, and it's the same thing. It's, play as it lies. Stop thinking about what you could have had. Stop thinking about what you hoped you had. Stop thinking about what you think you deserve to have and hit the shot. Focus on that shot and hit the shot and give it your all and move on to the next shot. And it's hard. And it takes a lot of practice. And I would say a lot of the trauma we've had has helped us be better at that. But it's really hard to just acceptance of this is what happened. And now I have to pivot and do something else that I may not like or I may not be comfortable with, but I'm going to do it.
Exactly. And just learning, to find those, you got to find those outlets, whether it's the gym or it's writing letters. You just got to learn to find stuff. Like even on the golf course I played, there was bad spots, but it's like, okay, deep breath. I wish I was here. Yes, of course, but I'm over here in the rough under a tree, and I've got a small window with a huge boulder in front of me. And I'm like, okay, I got a couple options here. So just start processing, thinking about it, and just be calm. Like when you start getting rattled and like trying to think about, oh, I wish I was here, I wish I was there, or I got to just, you got to go through the routines like we talked about. You got to have
Yeah.
a set process. And, it's like, okay, be confident. I have a set process. I'm going to work through a certain routine. And, kind of what Mike said, just take a different club, swing easier, knowing that, of course, you have to have a little bit of foundation of what's going to happen and, take a shot. So I was only like 100 yards out, but par five, I had this small opportunity and I just took a 5 iron, played it back a little stance, and did pretty much a pitch stroke. And
Yeah.
it went just greenside and chipped it up on 4 within like less than a foot. And so I parred it, saved it, but okay, moving on. But again, I've managed
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, you lean into the discomfort. I don't know if you remember our Father's Day round, par three. I can't remember what hole it was, but
Oh yeah.
I tugged it to where I had to hit a flop shot, and it was on tight fairway lie. I short sided myself, but it's an elevated green, and I can hit. I'm relatively good at flop shots out of like rough where the ball's sitting up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I don't generally love to do it on a tight lie, but man, it was one of those. I got over the ball, and I was you have those people that you always kind of have a clear head with. You're one of those for me. Like I generally, when I'm playing with you, like I'm not stressed about much. So the minute I got over the ball, I was like, okay, my only option is flop it. And I committed to it. But it would have been really easy to be like, oh, I wish I would have been able to bump and run this, or I wish I would have done, or could have done this, or could have had a better angle. And then you don't commit to the shot. And that leads me to, you got to lean into the discomfort. I'm not comfortable hitting that tight lie shot. And what happened? I flopped it to 5 feet, and the ball
Mhm.
just sat. And I committed to the shot, and I did it. And it could have gone 100 different ways. And in my head, I easily could have been like, oh, I hope I don't play this. I hope I don't shank it. I hope I don't do this. I might duff it. And then I might have the same shot again. But for some reason, I immediately just was like, okay, we're going to execute the shot. It's a flop. Cool. Move in. You lean into that discomfort, and it's the same with life. You got to
Mhm.
lean into the discomfort sometimes and just deal with it. It's how you grow.
Mhm.
You got to go back to therapy, right? I never wanted to do therapy. Casey pretty much sat me down and said, you're going to go to therapy. And I was like, okay. And I lean into the discomfort because at the end of the day, if it's therapy or piss off my wife and potentially lose her, like that ain't going to happen.
Mhm.
Like I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to make myself better because it's what's right for my family, my wife, and myself. And you lean into that discomfort.
You're absolutely right. Even as simple as interactions with people, it's like, oh, as we're out and about, and you're like, oh, I'm nervous or I'm uncomfortable to go ask them something or do something, and it's just, you know what, you just sometimes have to just step up into it and do it. It's not like it's going to be a bad outcome. I mean, sure, it may not be like a perfect shot or something, but or the outcome you want to hear, but more times than not, it's going to be fine. It's just you've got to learn to just like you tell kids, oh, the ride's gonna be okay, or it's looks scary, but it's gonna be fun. It's just like, yeah, you've got to just go through that window or that doorway. I know there's so many times where you just said it's like you could think of a million different things that's gonna go wrong with the shot. And instead of just stepping up and going into committing to it, so many times go into a shot and it's just and starting to like journal. I got a journal now that I'm gonna start writing like what happened, what's going on with the round, and it's those things where it's like every time except for certain moments, like I will question stepping up to the ball. I'm like, oh, this could happen, and I don't commit through the swing. So I don't commit through that, and then it's just errors happen, and
Yeah.
it's like when you just step up to it, commit to it, put it in your head, that's what you're going to do. It might be a little rough at first, but once you get that confidence, then things change. And, like step through, like you went to therapy, I think eventually we will have to get there and we just got to go through that discomfort and lean into this. Like, I don't want to talk about what happened back when he passed and just, we have to do it. We will be better afterwards, but it will be uncomfortable going through that.
Well, it's like when you go into a swing change,
Mhm.
things always get worse before they get better, but you're taking the steps necessary and whatever steps those are. I mean, therapy's not for everyone. I want to be clear about that. I obviously am going to sit here and preach that I think therapy is amazing, but therapy's not for everyone. Being mentally aware, self-aware of what you need and how you want to become a better person. Like you said, if it's journaling, if it's writing letters, if it's doing whatever, it's just knowing that you need something and acknowledging that you need something and going through that regardless of what it is. It's the self-awareness and knowing that we're all growing in life and none of us are perfect and none of us know the way. Like no one gave you the roadmap to losing a kid. No one gave me the roadmap to losing your dad in a car accident. Like, it's I don't know anyone that has been through that. Like my network of friends, like none of my friends have lost a parent in a car accident. So I can't go, oh hey, well no. You most likely don't know someone that's lost a child. So it's hard to know where to go when you feel alone, but you got to keep
Mhm.
moving. Don't stay stagnant. You do something. Keep moving. Keep progressing. Whatever it is.
Yeah, and that was like some of the advice that my family gave me. It's just, it sucks right now, like this is not a great time, or it was twofold because he's a twin, and so we have the one, so it's
Uh,
twofold. It's a joy and disaster, and it's just at this point, it's like you can't dwell on what happened, and you got to focus on what the joy is now and what is happening now. You can't let Miles suffer from what happened. So you got to make sure you do everything to protect him and help him and keep him growing, as well as take care of ourselves.
yeah, absolutely. It's not easy.
It's a tough one.
Certainly not easy. It's just, all you can do is, I want to say it's maybe part of the 12 steps when you're talking about like AA. One of their things is like, you can't think about that you're giving up alcohol forever. You're giving it up. I'm not going to drink today, right? It's not about not drinking a year from now. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink. Every day you're waking up and saying the same thing. At least that's what I think. I think I've read that somewhere. You take it the same with losing a family member. You're not going to be okay with it. It's hard to think of what the next 5 years looks like without that person. All you can do is wake up and say, accept it today. And then you wake up, accept it today. And soon enough, you'll be like me. September will be 2009 to 16 years for me, and I'm coming up on, at 18 years, or I guess 19 years, it'll be exactly half my life without my dad. So that's probably the next milestone for me. And that's hard to think of, but it's day by day. And you're going to get there and you're going to figure it out. It's kind of the same for you. You're closing in on that year mark, and it's tough when you hit those. I guess you just passed it, one of the two, and it's hard.
Yeah, we've been.
Just take it day by day.
We just passed all the year of first. There's a more colorful term that some of my friend counselors have used, but we're trying to keep this PG, so we won't say it online. But yeah, it's tough. And then, even still, it's still fresh, and I don't even know what that,
and it will be.
if the term fresh will ever go away. But I mean, as you said, you've gone 19 years roughly, and it's going to sting. Like I said earlier, it's never going to go away. But how we cope and accept it and just take those little steps to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you find and live in, I coined it, the new normal. It never goes back. You're never going to go back to who you were before the trauma. But you find the new normal that you can thrive in. And it's hard to get there. I'm going to say I'm still not there. We're still figuring things out. But you find that new normal to operate in where you thrive and you're a better person for it at the end of the day because you have a little bit more perspective. And it's hard to think of losing something makes you better, but it does. And it takes time to get there. Like I said, I didn't go to therapy for 12 years. So you're a year in and you're willing to talk about it, which is a lot more than I was willing to do. So, it's awesome and amazing. I do appreciate you sharing all that because it's hard. I certainly didn't wake up on a Sunday thinking I was going to be tearing up and crying.
It is important.
But I think it's important, right?
And it's funny how you said it earlier. It's like how we're opening up to a public forum behind cameras instead of our family in some regard.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a very close group of people that know exactly what I went through, I guess, until this episode releases. And it's probably the same for you, right? It's a close group of people that know, what you've been through with your son.
There's definitely more detail that, I don't need to hash out that still weighs on us about what happened. But, at the end of the day, it's not going to change what happened. And that's what we can't guilt ourselves on.
Yeah. You got to focus on the future. And again, we're not here to preach. It's more just a reminder that it's okay to need help. It's okay to need friends. It's okay to need to talk to someone. We've all been there. It's okay to need time for yourself. And it's okay to focus on yourself without guilt, but again, it just goes back to if you're, I'm assuming some people that are listening to this may not be married, may not have kids, right? So maybe lean on your friends and family. But if you're married, you also need to acknowledge what your partner may need, especially if they went through the same thing like you and Shelby. You know exactly what they went through. So, she also needs to need help. Obviously my wife and I didn't go through something like that together, but I know she's had trauma in her life as well that she also wants to recover from. So it's just one of those, like, I'm going to do my best to support her. She's going to do her best to support me. You're going to support Shelby. Shelby's going to support you. And it's okay to need that support system. We can be strong, in what do they call it? It's like
Yeah, I'll
show
say, yeah.
strength and weakness. It's yeah, we're gonna show our strength through us being weak and vulnerable, and that's okay. Just like I said, it's okay to have that heavy drinking round. It's okay to need
Mhm.
the golf escape. It's all about communication and letting, if you're married, if you have a partner, letting that person know what you need. And 9 times out of 10, if you are in a healthy relationship, they are going to respect it
Mhm.
as long as it doesn't go south too much. And then they're like, well, you're needing a
Right.
drinking round every weekend. That seems like a little much. What's going on?
Hmm. Exactly.
That's why you have a team.
And then golf is such an individual component, but honestly, now that we're talking about it, it's like it's almost like you still need your team.
Everyone says it's individual. It is individual in the sense that you are the one making the swing. But do we ever go around where you and I don't talk to each other about our golf?
Right.
Like our swing, what we're feeling? No, we don't. I might be like, oh, dude, I feel like I'm coming inside, or I might, and you're going to say, yeah, it looks like your tip was a
Always.
little off. We need help. You don't, that might be a simple statement. And then someone's like, oh, I'm not asking. Yeah, you are lying if in golf you have said you've never asked anyone for help, even a friend. Everyone has. No one has done it themselves.
No.
No one's just picked up a club and been Scotty Scheffler, right? Everyone has asked for help somewhere along the way. And you may not see it, but that's what it is. And that we have, the minute you can have awareness and acknowledge that is the minute you realize golf is individual in the sense I am the one taking the swing, but it is a group effort to get there. It's your wife supporting you
Hmm.
at home. It's your kids supporting you. It's your kids being with you. It's your friends going golfing with you. It's your friends telling you what's going on with your swing or you bouncing it off and vice
Yep.
versa. It's a
Absolutely.
team
And
at the end of the day.
that support, like we've talked about, and I think a previous podcast or some other time, just maybe out on the course is, we're out there playing, but there's times where, I'm not even thinking about the golf swing. I'm thinking about, oh, I got to go cut the lawn when I get back, or needing to do the garbage. And then you start feeling those things. And then it's like, oh, I need to get back by a certain time because Shelby's got something she wants to do. And not having that communication and that full support, it hampers our game for sure. And you can't focus and enjoy it. And yeah, it's tough just trying to balance everything.
It is. That's why it's important to find that group, find those friends that you can lean on. And, maybe it's because, I know my wife's going to listen to stuff like this, but it's
Mhm.
finding that wife that supports you, that partner that supports you. I mean, even harebrained ideas like starting a podcast, she's waking up early with the kids and hanging out with them right now, keeping them from yelling and screaming in the back. And, it's finding the team, and the most critical part to that, at least in us, is our wives and supporting them. And I hope what guys take away from this is saying that us playing golf means responsibilities land on someone else. And how can we support them and appreciate them for what they do? Because not many hobbies are 6 hours at a time, right? And that's golf is one of those. And we love it. And we're thankful that we have wives that help support that because they know we need it for our mental health.
Well, I'm working on getting up early. I go snuck out of the room quietly and trying to knock this out and not have to worry about a dog's barking or him going crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, go spend time with your little one, man. It was like I said, I appreciate you being open, and I know I'm kind of the one that said, "Hey, let's do this mental health episode," and you immediately said yes. I didn't know what you were going to share. I think you kind of had a general idea of what I would, just because we've talked a little bit more about what I've been through since it has been
Mhm.
longer. But I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate you, showing vulnerability as well. Not an easy platform to do that. A lot of, people that we know are going to listen to this. And, maybe one day if the podcast becomes a little bit bigger, a lot of random people are going to listen to this. And being vulnerable is hard. So I appreciate you doing that and, leaning into the discomfort with me for a little bit here. And I think we're all better for it.
Will, I mean, especially if we, tease this and put this out there, I mean, there might be ones that are going to start jumping on and becoming more aware, or it might hopefully have a light bulb moment for somebody who's out there. And then again, guys, it doesn't have to be dad. It can be a mom who's
Yeah,
in kind
exactly.
of our situation. Like just anybody who's, like I said, in this spot and just going through rough patches.
Yeah. And again, it's not here to shame anyone that needs help. We all needed it. We still need it. So hopefully if someone took something away from this, and if one person
Mhm.
took something away from this, I consider that a victory in us sharing our vulnerabilities. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you waking up nice and early to accommodate my Sunday plans. But again, guys, thanks for bearing with us in this one. Please again, listen, like us, Spotify, YouTube, share this with anyone that you think needs it. It's what we're here for. And, again, scramblingdads@gmail.com. If there's anything else you want us to talk about, we're here for it. I think we've proven through this. We'll talk about just about anything. We're not just a golf podcast. We started in the beginning. We're a lifestyle with a blend of golf. We're two golf dads, but we're going to talk about life more than golf. And I think we've shown that so far. So, send us something that you want us to talk about, and we appreciate it. Jason, have a great Sunday. Enjoy your 2 more days here in California. Yeah, and then I'm on
Yeah.
vacation, but look forward to our next round. Look forward to you being back in town so we can play. And I appreciate it, man. Enjoy your Sunday.